Maya Chen had worked as a waitress at Ristorante Alto for nearly a year, quietly saving money while helping support her parents, who had fallen on difficult financial times after her father's small business failed unexpectedly. Few of her co-workers knew that Maya had once been one of the country's most promising young judo competitors. Her career cut abruptly short years earlier when family responsibilities took precedence over her athletic ambitions. One particularly rowdy evening, Ristorante Alto hosted a private celebration for Dominic Reyes, a confident and notoriously arrogant mafia boss known throughout the city for his commanding presence and short temper. Dominic had gathered several associates for an evening of celebration, growing increasingly loud and careless as the evening progressed and the drinks continued flowing freely. Maya had been assigned to serve their private section, moving efficiently and professionally despite the group's increasingly disrespectful behavior toward the restaurant staff. As the evening wore on, Dominic, emboldened by alcohol and his usual arrogant confidence, grew increasingly bold in his interactions with Maya, making several inappropriate comments she chose to professionally ignore. Finally, as Maya reached to refill his water glass, Dominic suddenly grabbed her wrist firmly, pulling her slightly off balance with a mocking, condescending smirk. "Think you're too good to laugh at my jokes?" he said loudly, clearly performing for his amused associates. "Maybe you need to loosen up a little." Maya's professional composure remained intact outwardly, though years of disciplined training instinctively activated within her at the sudden, unwanted physical contact. "Please let go of my wrist," she said calmly, though firmness was evident clearly in her tone. Dominic, amused by her calm defiance, tightened his grip instead, clearly intending to further assert his dominance in front of his laughing associates. "Or what?" he challenged mockingly, clearly unaware of the serious mistake he was about to make. In that instant, years of disciplined judo training took over instinctively. Maya smoothly shifted her weight, using Dominic's own grip and momentum against him in a swift, practiced motion. Within seconds, Dominic found himself flipped cleanly over her shoulder, landing solidly and unexpectedly onto the restaurant's polished floor, the wind knocked audibly from his lungs. The private room fell into stunned silence, Dominic's associates staring in shocked disbelief at their powerful, intimidating boss now lying flat on his back, momentarily too shocked himself to react. Maya stood calmly over him, her expression composed yet clearly resolute, years of competitive discipline evident in her controlled stance. "I asked you politely to let go," she said calmly, though her voice carried unmistakable strength and confidence. Dominic blinked upward in stunned disbelief, struggling briefly to catch his breath, his usual commanding presence completely shattered by the unexpected, humiliating turn of events. His associates exchanged nervous, uncertain glances, clearly unsure whether to laugh at their boss's humiliating defeat or react with anger on his behalf. Slowly, Dominic pushed himself back onto his feet, his expression a complicated mixture of shock, embarrassment, and reluctant, dawning admiration. He studied Maya carefully, clearly reassessing his entire understanding of the seemingly quiet, unassuming waitress who had just effortlessly taken him down in front of his own men. "That," he finally said, genuine astonishment evident clearly in his tone, "was unexpected." Maya remained calm and composed, though internally she braced herself for potential retaliation, uncertain how a man like Dominic might respond to such public humiliation. "I apologize if that was more forceful than necessary," she said carefully, professional composure returning steadily to her voice. "But I did ask you to let go." Dominic studied her closely, surprising even himself with genuine respect rather than anger. "No apology necessary," he said finally, a small, reluctant smile forming on his lips despite his obvious embarrassment. "I clearly deserved that." His associates, sensing Dominic's unexpected reaction, relaxed slightly, though clear astonishment remained evident among them. Maya, still uncertain about the unpredictable situation, remained cautiously composed, unsure exactly what to expect next from the powerful, unpredictable man she had just publicly embarrassed. Dominic straightened his jacket, regaining some semblance of his usual composed authority, though genuine curiosity now colored his expression as he studied Maya carefully. "Where exactly did you learn to do that?" he asked directly, genuine interest evident clearly in his tone. Maya hesitated slightly, uncertain how much to reveal about her hidden past. "Years of training," she replied simply, cautious about revealing further details to someone she barely knew, especially given his clearly dangerous reputation. Dominic studied her thoughtfully, clearly intrigued by her calm, guarded response. "Impressive training," he said sincerely, genuine admiration evident clearly beneath his still recovering composure. As the tense situation gradually eased, Maya returned professionally to her duties, though she remained acutely aware of Dominic's continued, curious gaze following her throughout the remainder of the evening. Neither of them yet realized clearly just how significantly this unexpected, humiliating encounter would soon transform both of their lives in ways neither had anticipated. News of Dominic's humiliating defeat at the hands of a quiet waitress spread quickly among his own men, though most were careful never to mention it directly in his presence. Dominic himself found he couldn't stop thinking about the incident, genuine curiosity and admiration steadily overtaking any lingering embarrassment about the public spectacle. 2 days later, he returned to Ristorante Alto alone, his demeanor notably more subdued and thoughtful than during his previous rowdy visit. Maya, though initially surprised and cautious upon seeing him again, maintained her professional composure as she approached his table. "Mr. Reyes," she greeted carefully, uncertainty evident clearly in her tone. "Dominic, please," he corrected gently, offering a small, genuine smile. "I owe you a proper apology for my behavior the other night." Maya studied him carefully, surprised by his evident sincerity. "That would be appreciated," she said honestly, though caution remained evident in her guarded posture. Dominic took a steadying breath before continuing. "My behavior was completely inappropriate," he admitted honestly. "I've grown accustomed to people rarely challenging my actions directly, and clearly, that's led to some poor habits." Maya nodded slowly, appreciating his direct, sincere honesty. "I accept your apology," she said carefully, "though I hope you understand why I reacted the way I did." Dominic chuckled softly, genuine humor evident clearly in his tone despite the lingering embarrassment. "Completely understandable," he admitted. "You made your point rather effectively." Maya allowed herself a small, guarded smile, cautious optimism evident clearly in her expression. "I apologize if it was more forceful than necessary," she said honestly. "Years of training make certain reactions rather instinctive." Dominic studied her curiously, genuine interest evident clearly in his expression. "That's precisely what intrigues me," he admitted honestly. "Where exactly did you develop such impressive skills?" Maya hesitated slightly, weighing how much to share with someone she barely knew. "I used to compete in judo," she said finally, cautious honesty evident clearly in her tone. "Nationally, actually, before circumstances required me to step away from serious competition." Dominic's eyebrows rose with genuine surprise and admiration. "Nationally competitive," he repeated, clearly impressed. "That explains quite a bit about your instinctive response." Maya nodded, a flicker of nostalgic sadness briefly crossing her expression. "It was a significant part of my life once," she admitted quietly. Dominic studied her closely, curiosity and genuine empathy evident clearly in his gaze. "What changed?" he asked gently, sensing there was more to her story. Maya hesitated, clearly uncomfortable delving into personal details with someone she barely knew, especially someone with such a dangerous reputation. "Family circumstances," she said simply, deliberately vague. "It's a long story." Dominic nodded understandingly, respecting her clear reluctance to share further details. "I understand," he said gently. "Perhaps, in time, if you're comfortable, I'd genuinely like to hear more." Maya studied him carefully, surprised by his patient, respectful approach. "Perhaps," she said cautiously, though a small, genuine smile formed on her lips despite herself. Over the following weeks, Dominic began visiting Ristorante Alto regularly, his conversations with Maya gradually deepening beyond simple pleasantries into more meaningful, personal territory. Maya found herself surprised by his patience and genuine curiosity, qualities she hadn't initially expected from someone with his intimidating reputation. "You're different than I expected," she admitted one evening, as their conversation continued comfortably beyond her usual shift hours. "How so?" Dominic asked curiously, genuine interest evident clearly in his tone. "More patient," Maya replied honestly. "More willing to listen and reflect, rather than simply asserting dominance." Dominic considered her words thoughtfully. "Perhaps that unexpected fall you gave me taught me an important lesson," he said sincerely, a genuine, humble smile forming on his lips. "Strength isn't just about intimidation. Sometimes, it's about quiet discipline and genuine character." Maya smiled warmly, genuine appreciation evident clearly in her expression. "That's a surprisingly thoughtful realization," she said honestly. As their friendship continued developing steadily, marked by genuine respect and growing curiosity about each other's lives, neither Maya nor Dominic realized clearly just how significantly this unlikely, unexpected connection would soon deepen further, drawing them both toward confronting Maya's own forgotten dreams and ambitions from her competitive judo career. Maya had discovered judo at just 8 years old, immediately captivated by the discipline, focus, and physical skill the sport demanded. Her natural talent became evident quickly, and by her early teenage years, she had already begun competing successfully at regional tournaments, her dedication and skill earning her a spot on the national junior team by the time she turned 17. Her parents, though initially cautious about the intense demands of competitive judo, had eventually become her biggest supporters, sacrificing considerably to ensure Maya had access to proper training facilities, equipment, and coaching. Maya's hard work paid off significantly, and by the age of 21, she had become one of the country's most promising judo competitors, with realistic aspirations of representing her nation internationally. Everything changed unexpectedly when Maya's father's small hardware business began struggling financially, ultimately collapsing entirely after a series of unfortunate circumstances and increased competition from larger retailers. The financial strain quickly became overwhelming, threatening the family's home and stability. Faced with this sudden crisis, Maya made the difficult decision to step away from her promising competitive career, prioritizing her family's immediate financial needs over her own athletic ambitions. She began working multiple jobs, eventually settling into her position as a waitress at Ristorante Alto, using her steady income to help stabilize her family's finances and support her parents through their difficult transition. Though grateful for the opportunity to support her family, Maya had privately mourned the abrupt end to her competitive judo career, quietly setting aside dreams she had once passionately pursued. She rarely spoke openly about her judo background, preferring instead to focus entirely on her current responsibilities, careful not to dwell on opportunities she felt she could no longer pursue. Now, reflecting on her recent, unexpected conversations with Dominic, Maya found herself surprised by how naturally these buried memories and emotions had begun resurfacing. Despite her initial hesitation, she found herself gradually more comfortable sharing her story with him, appreciating his genuine curiosity and respectful patience. One quiet evening, as their friendship continued deepening, Maya finally shared the full story behind her judo career's abrupt end. "My father's business failed suddenly," she explained honestly. "I had to step away from competition to help support my family financially. It wasn't an easy decision, but it was necessary." Dominic listened attentively, genuine empathy and admiration evident clearly in his expression. "That must have been incredibly difficult," he said sincerely. "Giving up something you clearly loved and excelled at, for the sake of your family." Maya nodded, a bittersweet smile forming on her lips. "It was," she admitted honestly. "But family comes first, always." Dominic studied her closely, admiration deepening steadily within him. "Your dedication and sacrifice are truly remarkable," he said sincerely. "Do you ever think about returning to competitive judo, now that circumstances might have changed?" Maya considered his question carefully, surprised by her own hesitant sense of hope at his gentle inquiry. "Sometimes," she admitted honestly. "But it's been years since I've trained seriously. I'm not sure it's realistic anymore." Dominic studied her thoughtfully, genuine encouragement evident clearly in his expression. "Perhaps it's worth considering," he said gently. "You clearly haven't lost your skill or discipline, judging by our first encounter." Maya laughed softly, genuine warmth evident clearly in her expression. "Perhaps," she admitted, cautious optimism evident clearly in her tone. "It's something I'll have to think about." As their conversation deepened further that evening, Dominic found himself increasingly determined to help Maya rediscover her passion for judo, if she was genuinely interested in pursuing it again. Neither of them yet realized clearly, however, that this newfound aspiration would soon become entangled with dangerous complications arising from Dominic's own complicated and sometimes perilous world. In the days following their meaningful conversation about Maya's forgotten judo dreams, Dominic found himself genuinely determined to help her reclaim that opportunity, though he remained carefully mindful of respecting her independence and pride. He understood clearly that any assistance he offered needed to feel genuine and supportive, rather than overwhelming or presumptuous. He began quietly researching local judo training facilities and competitive opportunities, discovering a respected training academy known for helping former competitors return to the sport professionally. Rather than simply offering financial assistance directly, which he suspected Maya would likely decline out of pride, Dominic considered carefully how best to present this opportunity in a way that felt genuinely supportive rather than charitable. One evening, as he visited Ristorante Alto again, Dominic casually mentioned the training academy he had discovered. "I came across an interesting judo training facility recently," he said carefully, testing her reaction. "Apparently, they specialize in helping former competitors return to serious training." Maya's expression shifted with cautious curiosity. "Really?" she asked, genuine interest evident despite her guarded tone. "That sounds promising." Dominic nodded, careful to keep his tone casual rather than overly eager. "They apparently have flexible scheduling options too," he added thoughtfully, "which might work well alongside your current job." Maya considered this information carefully, clear temptation evident in her expression despite her practical concerns. "It's an interesting thought," she admitted honestly, "though I'd need to consider the costs and time commitment carefully." Dominic nodded understandingly, respecting her practical hesitation. "Of course," he said gently. "Just something worth considering, if you're genuinely interested in returning to competition." Maya studied him closely, appreciating his careful, non-pressuring approach. "Thank you for mentioning it," she said sincerely. "I'll definitely think about it." Over the following days, Maya found herself increasingly drawn toward the idea of returning to serious training, gradually researching the facility Dominic had mentioned and considering carefully how she might balance renewed training alongside her current responsibilities. Eventually, she decided cautiously to visit the academy personally, curious about the possibility of reclaiming her competitive dreams. To her surprise and delight, she discovered the facility offered a scholarship program specifically designed to support talented former competitors facing financial hardship, an opportunity she hadn't previously known existed. Unbeknownst to Maya, Dominic had quietly arranged for this scholarship opportunity to be available specifically for her, careful to ensure it appeared as a legitimate, independent opportunity rather than direct assistance from himself personally. Overjoyed and genuinely surprised by this unexpected opportunity, Maya quickly applied and was accepted into the scholarship program, allowing her to resume serious judo training alongside her current job responsibilities. She shared the exciting news with Dominic during one of his regular visits to the restaurant. "I can't believe it," she said excitedly, genuine happiness evident clearly in her expression. "I've been accepted into a scholarship program at the academy you mentioned. I'll finally have the chance to train seriously again." Dominic smiled warmly, genuine happiness evident clearly in his own expression, carefully concealing his personal involvement in arranging the opportunity. "That's wonderful news," he said sincerely. "You truly deserve this chance, Maya." Maya studied him closely, genuine gratitude and admiration evident clearly in her expression. "Thank you for encouraging me to consider this opportunity," she said warmly. "I don't think I would have pursued it without your gentle encouragement." Dominic felt genuine warmth and happiness at witnessing her renewed excitement and determination. "I'm glad I could help, even in a small way," he said honestly, though he remained careful not to reveal the full extent of his involvement. As Maya began her renewed training, balancing her responsibilities carefully alongside her rekindled passion for competitive judo, her bond with Dominic continued deepening steadily, marked by genuine mutual respect, admiration, and shared happiness at her renewed opportunity. Neither of them yet realized clearly, however, that word of Dominic's earlier humiliating defeat at Maya's hands had begun spreading beyond his own organization, attracting unwanted attention from a dangerous rival eager to exploit the embarrassing incident for his own advantage. Word of Dominic's humiliating defeat at the hands of a quiet waitress had gradually spread beyond his own organization, eventually reaching Salvatore Greco, a longtime rival eager for any opportunity to publicly embarrass and weaken Dominic's reputation within their shared criminal circles. Recognizing an opportunity to further humiliate his rival, Salvatore devised a calculated plan to provoke a public confrontation, hoping to force Dominic into an embarrassing situation that would further damage his standing and authority. "If Dominic's reputation is already weakened by this humiliating story," Salvatore explained coldly during a private meeting with his associates, "we simply need to publicly highlight it further, perhaps even provoke another embarrassing incident." His men nodded, understanding clearly the calculated cruelty behind Salvatore's strategy. "How do you intend to provoke this?" one associate asked cautiously. "We target the waitress directly," Salvatore replied firmly. "Publicly confront her, forcing Dominic to either intervene personally, risking further embarrassment, or stand by while we humiliate someone he clearly cares about." One afternoon, as Maya finished a training session at the judo academy, she found herself unexpectedly confronted by several of Salvatore's men outside the facility, their intentions clearly hostile and provocative. "You're the waitress who humiliated Dominic Reyes," one man said mockingly, deliberately raising his voice to attract public attention. "Let's see if you're really as tough as everyone says." Maya's instincts sharpened instantly, recognizing clearly the deliberate provocation and danger of the situation. "I don't want any trouble," she said calmly, though firmness remained evident clearly in her tone. The men laughed mockingly, clearly intent on escalating the confrontation regardless of her calm response. Sensing the danger clearly intensifying, Maya quickly contacted Dominic, her voice urgent despite her attempt to remain composed. "Dominic, some men are here, deliberately provoking me. I think they're trying to draw you into some kind of public confrontation." Dominic's expression hardened instantly upon hearing this news, understanding clearly the calculated danger Maya now faced. "Stay calm, Maya," he said firmly. "I'm on my way immediately. Don't engage further if you can avoid it." Dominic quickly gathered a small, trusted team, rushing directly toward the academy, determined to protect Maya from the escalating danger. Upon arriving, he found Maya calmly standing her ground, though clear tension and provocation continued escalating from Salvatore's men. "Enough," Dominic said firmly, stepping directly between Maya and the aggressive men, his tone leaving no room for further provocation. "This ends now." Salvatore's men, recognizing Dominic's arrival, smirked confidently, clearly having anticipated this exact reaction. "Ah, Dominic," one man said mockingly. "Here to protect your little waitress again?" Dominic's expression remained calm yet dangerously controlled. "This has nothing to do with weakness," he said firmly. "It has everything to do with respect, something your employer clearly lacks." Sensing the tension rapidly escalating, Maya stepped forward calmly, though clear determination remained evident in her posture. "I can handle myself," she said firmly, addressing both Dominic and the provocative men directly. "But this childish provocation ends now." The men hesitated, clearly surprised by her calm, assertive confidence. Dominic, sensing an opportunity to defuse the situation without unnecessary violence, addressed them directly. "Return to Salvatore," he said firmly, "and let him know clearly that targeting innocent people connected to me will only bring consequences far more serious than embarrassment." Salvatore's men, recognizing the seriousness behind Dominic's calm yet firm warning, reluctantly retreated, clearly unwilling to escalate the confrontation further without explicit instructions from their own boss. Once the immediate threat had passed, Dominic turned to Maya, genuine concern and admiration evident clearly in his expression. "Are you all right?" he asked softly, relief evident clearly in his tone. Maya nodded, though clear tension remained evident in her posture. "I'm fine," she reassured him. "Thank you for coming, though I could have handled it myself." Dominic smiled warmly, genuine admiration evident clearly in his expression. "I have no doubt," he said sincerely. "But I couldn't simply stand by, knowing you were in danger because of your connection to me." As the immediate danger passed, both Dominic and Maya understood clearly that Salvatore's attempted provocation had only strengthened their bond further, setting the stage for Dominic to address this rivalry decisively, ensuring Maya's safety permanently and completely. In the days following the confrontation at the academy, Dominic moved decisively to ensure Salvatore Greco understood clearly that any further attempts to target Maya or exploit their connection would carry serious consequences. Through careful, strategic pressure within their shared business circles, Dominic made certain Salvatore's reckless provocation became widely known, damaging his own reputation and standing far more significantly than his intended attack against Dominic ever could have. Facing mounting criticism and isolation from his own associates, Salvatore quickly abandoned any further plans to target Maya, recognizing clearly the failure of his calculated scheme. With the threat fully neutralized, Dominic and Maya finally found themselves able to focus entirely on the genuine connection and mutual respect that had developed steadily since their memorable first encounter. Maya continued her renewed training diligently, her skills and confidence growing steadily as she prepared for her return to competitive judo. Dominic attended her training sessions occasionally, genuine admiration and support evident clearly in his encouragement, cherishing the opportunity to witness her rediscovered passion and determination firsthand. One evening, after a particularly successful training session, Maya approached Dominic with genuine excitement. "I've been offered a spot in an upcoming regional tournament," she said happily. It's my first real chance to return to serious competition." Dominic's face lit up with genuine happiness and pride. "That's wonderful news, Maya," he said warmly. "You've worked incredibly hard for this opportunity." Maya smiled warmly, gratitude and happiness evident clearly in her expression. "I couldn't have done this without your encouragement," she admitted honestly. "You've helped me rediscover something I thought I'd lost forever." Dominic took her hand gently, sincerity and warmth clear in his gaze. "You've done all the hard work yourself," he said sincerely. "I've simply been fortunate enough to witness your incredible journey." As their conversation deepened, Dominic found himself finally ready to openly express the genuine feelings that had steadily grown within him since their unforgettable first meeting. "Maya," he began softly, "these past months have shown me clearly how much you've come to mean to me, far beyond simple friendship." Maya felt her heart flutter gently, genuine happiness and anticipation evident clearly in her expression. "I felt the same way, Dominic," she admitted softly. "I never expected to find such genuine respect and connection, especially given how we first met." Dominic smiled warmly, gently pulling her closer. "Perhaps that unexpected fall was exactly the beginning we both needed," he said softly, genuine happiness evident clearly in his tone. Maya laughed warmly, genuine joy evident clearly in her expression. "Perhaps it was," she agreed happily. In the following months, Maya successfully returned to competitive judo, her talent and discipline quickly re-establishing her reputation within the sport, ultimately earning her a spot on the national team once again. Dominic remained a constant, supportive presence throughout her renewed journey, his admiration and respect for her strength and determination only growing deeper with each passing competition. Their relationship flourished steadily, grounded firmly in genuine mutual respect, admiration, and shared personal growth, each supporting the other's dreams and ambitions wholeheartedly. Reflecting quietly one evening after a successful tournament victory, Maya considered deeply the remarkable, unexpected journey that had brought her back to her true passion, and toward genuine love and happiness she had never anticipated finding. What had begun as an unexpected, humiliating incident at Ristorante Alto had transformed completely into something Maya had never imagined possible. Genuine respect, renewed purpose, and authentic love, proving clearly that true strength and character could overcome even the most unexpected and challenging beginnings.